Last week, I asked you if you were willing to trade Medicaid cuts for tax cuts, and 36% of you said yes. In fact, across all of our platforms, 38% of you said yes. So let's take a look at what that looks like. Somewhere around $880 billion in cuts to Medicaid spending are included in the budget proposal in exchange for the tax cuts. Obviously, if we're cutting revenue in the form of tax cuts, then we need to offset that with spending cuts, and Medicaid is one of the places where they're really looking for some savings. That doesn't mean 880 billion will be cut in one single year. That's over 10 years. So 88 billion per year. It's the equivalent of cutting out 18% of all Medicaid expenses for very low income seniors and people with disabilities. It's equivalent also of cutting 38% of Medicaid expenses for adults who were included as part of the Medicaid expansion. And it's also equivalent to cutting 76% of all federal Medicaid expenses for children. How would these cuts work? Where would the cuts come from? Well, let's see what the options are. That's equal to 29% of all state spending on Medicaid per resident. The three ways they could approach this number are, number one, by raising state taxes. So they would have to raise state taxes about 6% on average across the country. They could also find some of that savings in education. State K through 12 spending on education is equal to 19% of the dollar cut. So they could make some cuts there to offset the Medicaid. And then the other thing that they can do is change the benefits to limit the amount of money that they're paying out and who is eligible for those services. So what are the benefit cuts that they're considering? Well, number one, what we've already seen announced in a lot of states across the country is that many states, including very blue Democratic states like California, like Washington State, are considering cutting Medicaid eligibility for illegal immigrants. Now, not every state allows illegal immigrants to have access to Medicaid. Some states allow coverage for pregnant women, regardless of immigration status. Some states allow Medicaid coverage for children, regardless of legal status. And then there are some states that offer income qualified eligibility for Medicaid even to people who are undocumented. Another option is implementing work requirements where Medicaid eligibility requires you to be working and to be paid a certain amount of money per year to become eligible.